Welcome to another episode of Bucher and Holland's subsidiary of Bucher and Friends on the United WeCast network. I'm Rick Bucher. You know me. You know him too. Ryan Hollins, 10-year NBA vet. Now you can see him on ESPN. You can find him at the Ryan Hollins on Twitter. Is it the same handle on Instagram? Do I have that right, Ryan?
I'm just Ryan Hollins on Instagram.
You just...
I tried. The guy won't give it up. I tried.
Oh, there's a guy who has the Ryan Hollins and he won't give it. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, he won't give it up.
All right. Well, you can find
that.
me. You can read my stuff at Bleacher Report. You can catch me on Twitter at Rick Bucher and on Instagram, Rick_Bucher. And you can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Bucher Friends. And we have new cover art coming. We have seen it. And Ryan, you are looking sharp, my man. They got the eyes right. They got the mustache right. They got the smile right. You're happy with it, right?
Dude, you know what? You guys gave me a hard time. I don't know what picture you sent, right? I was cockeyed. My hairline was off. No haircut, bro. The mustache. I had the dad stash. I don't know what you sent. Like, are you screenshotting photos of me when I'm not ready, bro? I was like, who sent that? You guys are looking spectacular. Like, I got to get dressed up before I do these podcasts now, man.
Yeah. We might have. Actually, I'm going to put that all on our producer. He was the one who selected him. He was the one who worked with the artist and graphic designer to get it done. But nonetheless, we finally got it done. And so you should be able to see that, and it should clear up any confusion. It's Will Blackman. It's Ryan Hollins. It's myself. We basically just take turns through the week, but it's a daily podcast. All right. Enough of that. We are coming to you after I watched the Kings and the Raptors go at it. The Raptors going 4-0 on the trip. First time in Raptors franchise history that they've gone undefeated on a trip where a road trip with 4 games or more. They're now 11-1. Reflection of where this team is. How much does this start change or impact the way you think about this Raptors team?
It doesn't change much, man. You got to remember, this is dude, they had the exact same team, literally, that had the number 1 seed in the East.
Yep.
Obviously, they laid an egg in the finals. LeBron is gone. Everybody's a year older. Young, exciting bench, which helped their record last year.
Not in the finals. I think it was the second round.
No. It was second round they lost. I corrected myself. I'm sorry if I threw out. But, dude, like, they're the same squad. When I saw that trade go through, I just kind of laughed that Pascal and OG somehow didn't get shipped to San Antonio. I was like, yo, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Somehow they kept those guys together. And then you add Kawhi, and I'm like, dude, if Kawhi is worth the darn still, if he's half of what he is, and he's apparently even more in some ways because you see him playing outside of Pop's system, RB. I mean, I saw it coming, and they were my kind of like dark horse sleeper pick to win a championship this year, just because their versatility. You look at that lineup, they can defend, they can run. I mean, Serge Ibaka, said if he's healthy, he's a guy, RB, and I want you to chime on this. They said at Oklahoma City when it was him, Durant, Westbrook, Harden, and they would do shooting drills, he would win every drill. He literally wouldn't miss. And Serge is that type of player, but he just hasn't been healthy in a while.
I think there's some of that. What I like about this team is, because this was always my thing with Oklahoma City when I was looking at the combination of Russell, KD, and Serge. And it was a lot like Chris Bosh when he went to Miami. There were going to be series where he had to be the best big man in the series. He was going to have to win you a game or two somewhere along the line in a series. Chris Bosh demonstrated that. It's why they were able to ultimately win a championship. Serge has never demonstrated that in the biggest games. And what makes me more comfortable about Toronto now is that they don't have to rely on that, because you don't think of Pascal as a classic big. But dude, when he gets on the block, his ability to spin either way and get buckets, he's tough and he can defend bigger bodies. So look, he hasn't had the opportunity to succeed or fail in the postseason, but I like the demeanor, and I like the fact that you're now, if Ibaka gives it to you, if he's healthy and he takes that next step, then it's just an embarrassment of riches. But if he doesn't, they have other places that they can go now, and they can still succeed. Whether it's Pascal or even, in this day and age, in the age of small ball, you can play Kawhi kind of as a 4, and he can work in that mid post, and depending on the matchup.
Any of those guys, Pascal, you got like 3 4s, if I'm not right.
Yep.
I mean, you got like 3 guys who can play the 4, actually 4 guys. OG, Pascal, Serge, and Kawhi. 4 guys.
Yep.
You got the baby Kawhi Leonards out there, right?
Exactly. And I talked to Danny Green about this after the game.
Danny Green, you forget.
Yeah, great floor spacer, solid defender, and all of these guys, as a result of the disappointment in the previous years, they've all had a certain amount of experience. They know how good they have to be. So even with this 11-1 start, if this was a younger team, they might be getting full of themselves. When I talk to Danny, talk to Kawhi, these guys are like, this doesn't mean anything. We have so much further to go. We know how much better we can be. And it's not about being the best team in the first month of the season. It's about being the best team at the end of the season. And just that kind of awareness, I believe, is going to keep them pushing the rock and trying to get better, as opposed to kind of getting fat and happy and saying, look at us.
Forgot Kyle Lowry.
Yeah.
Forgot Valanciunas, DeLon, right? I mean, Van Fleet. I mean, they put together some stuff. Yeah. They put some. I was never mad at the trade. It was just the fashion in which it happened. I was never mad, and I think even DeMar echoed that. I was never mad that he moved, that they did what they did from a basketball standpoint. But just telling a guy he's safe, he's good, and then the next day he gets traded. But I do understand the element. If you tell him he's getting traded, the trade leaks and it potentially gets blown up, sure. Rick. And you've known situations that have happened like that. But just don't say anything, because you don't need to go overboard telling the guy that he's good to his face. At least act a little funny and maybe give him that sinking feeling that he's going to be moved, Yeah,
the only out that I would give Masai Ujiri on that is, when did San Antonio reach out? And when did he have that conversation with DeMar? If he got together with DeMar in July and said, hey, we're not planning on changing anything, we're going, other than the coach, we're going forward with this. And then a couple weeks later, or 3 days later, Spurs call.
Bro, he saw him at Summer League, bro. He saw him at Summer League and told him, Rick. He saw him at Summer League.
Okay. So that's early July.
Rick, I'm trading you for Bob Costas, okay? I'm trading you for Bob Costas. No, you're good. Oh, you know what? Me and Bob Costas will run the pod, man. That's what you got going. Sorry, Rick, I'm out. And then the day before, hey, Rick, you're my guy for life, man. We're not breaking. We're going to be running this thing till we can't talk anymore.
You know what? You're actually hurting me right now, because you're reminding me of my first radio host, who the first time I ever did radio, I had a radio show. And I won't name names, but anybody who knows my history can probably go back and figure it out. Right. And this dude was like, we're going to take this city by storm. It's going to be you and me. We are going to own this place. And meanwhile, he was negotiating his way back to New York. And I will never, ever forget that happened. I don't hold a grudge. But I'm never going to forget. Anyway, speaking of DeMar DeRozan, I want to hit this real quick. I'm watching him play, and ultimately, I feel as if this might have been a good thing for him, because he's playing with an assurance. And again, this is regular season, but he is playing with an aggression and a comfort level of where he wants to go and what he wants to do that I don't remember seeing to this level in Toronto.
Can I throw something at you?
Sure.
That trade for both players is actually better, because both teams and both players improve obviously to an extent. Kawhi would be, better in San Antonio. We can agree to disagree, whatever there.
Right.
In the Clippers-Washington trade with Gortat and Doc's son, Rivers, Austin,
right,
they literally went the worst way, because they're log jammed at the wing position and they're hurt without Gortat. And Doc ain't even playing Marcin. It's just ugly in LA for Marcin. Like, literally, like, you have two trades that go in the best way for both players. And then on the other end, trades are just the worst possible scenario. Like, they're talking about John Wall struggles, Washington struggles. I said this on First Take during the summer. I said, they are worse with Dwight Howard. This is like, you don't know the glue things that Marcin was doing during the regular season with Washington. Like, I was there in the locker room. Like, the dude did everything. He never complained. He got guys open. He did all the dirty work, and everybody just kind of flowed around him.
I should know this, but I don't. Where did it go so sour between John and Marcin?
So the thing about John is, John, he has the biggest heart in the world, and he wants to play well. He wants to win. And every time he comes down the floor, similar to Russell Westbrook, he's got a mismatch. Like, literally, he can score on whoever is guarding him, and he's smart enough to where, and he's a good passer too, he can legitimately run a pick and roll and get guys open. And it got to a point where there was frustrations because when John got hurt, Brad stepped in, the ball was popping and moving, and when he came back, the ball stopped moving. And just Marcin is a guy, he's very straightforward, one of my favorite guys. We sat next to each other on a plane, and he was just like, yo, like, you're not passing the ball, bro, or you're just thinking it up. You're not playing well. He's honest, and things didn't go over well with John. And then it just boiled over from there, you know? And then everybody doesn't understand, you want this youth movement in the locker room. After your first 5 or 6 or 7 guys, you go super young. There's no veterans that go in and break that thing up.
Yeah.
There's no buffers between John and Marcin that you don't see behind the scenes that these veterans that would go in and do, the Chris Humphreys, the Nenes, a number of those guys that kind of just break up this stuff and say, Drew Goodens and say, hey, dude, it's not worth it. Guys, let's do what we got to do. Be professionals.
I do know that about Marcin is that he'll say what's on his mind. He's coming directly at you with whatever it is. And I know that he tweeted it out at one point about the way the team played without John. I just didn't know if that was it alone that kind of boiled into a bigger thing. But
it got ugly.
Yeah, clearly it did. All right. One of the other things I wanted to get to you is the big deal. The Phoenix Suns bought out Tyson Chandler. I always appreciate the buyouts. Nobody's given up any money. They didn't buy out. They just gave him his money and let him walk. And as soon as he was set free, he joined the Lakers. He gets to go home. He's from LA. He told me I was in Phoenix as this was happening. In fact, he kind of tipped me off to this was happening, threw a couple of clues out there. And in fact, I texted him as soon as it came out that he was being waived and that the Lakers were at the top of the list. I texted him and I said, so was this happening while we were talking? And he says, life comes at you fast, bro.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
So, but he said something. He did give me a tip when we were in the locker room. We were talking because I was doing a piece about playing with LeBron, the pluses and minuses of playing with LeBron. And after he and I had talked, after he and I had talked, he came up to me a little bit later and he goes, no, is this a positive or a negative piece? I said, no, it's not a negative piece. It's just the yin and the yang of playing with LeBron. And then we were talking about the Lakers team and the makeup of it and everything. And he kind of looked at me and he goes, they might just be 1 or 2 pieces away. And then he kind of walked and headed to the training room. Like he didn't like wink or anything like that. But I realize now exactly what he was telling me in the moment as he reminded me later.
One piece away, me.
Exactly. So, but here's the question, because I've seen people already write this. And Ty told me at the time, he said, I always dreamed of playing with LeBron. There was a point at which there was a possibility of me being traded to Cleveland, but I put the kibosh, or he kind of discouraged them from making that happen because he didn't know how long LeBron was going to be in Cleveland, and he didn't want to move his family to Cleveland and then be stuck there without LeBron being there. So that never happened. This is a different situation. He gets to go home. He's kind of rounding out his career. It's a dream come true to play with LeBron. He gets to do it in LA, et cetera, et cetera. He gets to do it in a Lakers uniform, all of that. They're all pluses. Somebody wrote, and I believe it was on Bleacher Report. It was. Eric Pincus covers the Lakers for Bleacher Report or All Things LA. He wrote, or at least the headline said, LeBron just got his missing piece. Now, I love Ty, and they certainly need some rim protection above and beyond JaVale. But I don't know if I'm ready at this stage of Ty's career to say he's the missing piece if we're talking about the Lakers making some significant move in the standings.
No, I mean, listen, it is a significant move. Is it the championship move? No, I don't look at, Tyson's addition, but they look like a regular team, like they played normal basketball tonight, not wild, crazy shots, just blown. We talked about the no-nos, right, Rick, the last time we talked? Just blown assignments on the defensive end, lack of communication, guys looking at other guys, pointing finger, that's your man, no, that's your man. Like Tyson Chandler, they look like a normal team tonight. It doesn't look like you beat yourselves in the fourth quarter, because there are about half of those games, a little over half those games, where the Lakers beat themselves outside of Toronto, where Toronto just blasted them. They couldn't just play basic basketball. If you remember when Tyson Chandler went to Dallas, he changed the entire dynamic of not just just the organization, to where he was the defensive stopper. They got out and scored, and they were really, really tough to beat. Tyson gives you that. And now you look like you're building something. This was a big piece. And now JaVale McGee can either be a starter, he can come off the bench, whatever it is, you kind of spell those minutes. And now you look like a real team, Rick.
Sure. I don't want to discount the IQ and the organization that Tyson brings to them, especially at the defensive end. But first of all, at 36 years old, before I diagnose or I assess what I think he can and can't do for them, he had I think he had 9 boards. He had like 4 offensive rebounds. Like, what is it, that get out of jail card? You're with the Phoenix Suns, and I was around those guys, and all the veterans on that team are already like, oh my God, this is going to be a long season already. We're like 3 weeks in, and they're already like, oh, this is going to be a drag. So Tyson gets liberated from that, and he gets to go to LA, play with the Lakers, play with LeBron. My only question is, as good as and excited as he had to have felt tonight playing, at 36 years old, can he sustain that? How much of that is just juiced because you get to play in meaningful games all of a sudden? And how much of that is, no, you know what? He can still deliver that. Can he average you 8-9 rebounds a game?
I mean, in today's NBA, there's 1,000 missed shots for one. So the rebounds are going to be there. Tyson's a great rebounder. I mean, he still jumps high. He still rim runs, gets lobs, and he's still got that length to where he can do the tip out rebound. He's really coined that, where he gets the rebound, he tips it out. He had 2 or 3 of those that really sealed the game tonight. I mean, Tyson is effective, man, and a skinny guy stay in shape, so it's not a bunch of pounding on his joints. Dude, Tyson is all right. Rick, you're not asking, can he put up 30 points a night?
No.
This is defense and rebounding. You know what I'm saying? So this is very attainable. And he's got a guy who's playing just as well in JaVale McGee. He outplayed JaVale McGee. When they played the Suns, he outplayed JaVale McGee. So it's essentially, through consistently alone, you've upgraded the situation. And JaVale is 10 times more of a consistent player now. Yeah. But Tyson, he don't make mistakes, bro. He made the play at the end of the game where Derrick Rose comes off. Brandon Ingram dies on the screen. What the hell? You don't die on the screen when you're supposed to be guarding the best player on the floor at the time. And Tyson times it in the sense to where he doesn't give up the roll, and he contests the three-pointer late, in which he bothered Derrick Rose, who just hit the last 3 shots down the floor, and he missed a shot. So you'll never notice or understand. There's situations of guys 2-on-1 at the rim, and somehow Tyson's going to come up with a block shot and the rebound.
Okay. I look forward to seeing it. As you said, I believe he will help them. There are too many other issues that I have with that roster still. And even with Tyson behind organizing things, you still got too many young guys on the perimeter who don't really know what they're doing. I can't help but feel like this is a lot like, Larry Nance and Jordan Clarkson, when they were playing with the Lakers, they were building blocks. And then the Cavs make the deal and they go to Cleveland and they got to play for a championship. And you're saying oh, they're really young. There are things that they do that are athletically impressive, but they're not on a string with everybody else.
Yeah, but Rick, think about it. You just erased the young guy out the lineup by having Tyson on the floor with that second unit. You're going to have a unit where either McGee or Tyson's on the floor. That's money for you already. And Tyson ain't going to get in foul trouble. Real quick, there was one possession. He just grabbed Karl Anthony Towns by the waist and had the other hand up contesting the shot.
Yeah.
They didn't call a foul. You had that respect.
That's a good point.
If JaVale had done that, bro, it'd be 10 fouls. But Tyson holds those guys accountable. And like I said, there's one young guy off the floor. You're not going to see four of those young guys at the same time.
You know what really surprises me a little bit is that what do you make of the fact that Phoenix let him go with DeAndre Ayton still in his formative stage? Because I would have liked to have had Tyson around on a regular basis practicing against that dude, because I like what DeAndre has, but I see there's a lot of growth. He's talented, no doubt, but there's a lot of growth to be had. And as you noted, you just stripped one of the veterans out that is capable of teaching a young guy all the nuances of the game.
There's an R word that comes into play, and it's called respect. And it's respect for a pro's pro, and that's Tyson Chandler. And saying, Tyson, we know you got a year or two left. We got respect for not just you, but your career. Go to LA with LeBron and make something of this to be happy. And this is his first time playing at home. If you remember, he was actually drafted to the Clippers. Mom was crying. He gets shipped out to Chicago. Pretty much hasn't seen LA since as far as playing wise. And this is a chance at home. There's something special about this for Tyson. It doesn't mean the same to some of those other guys or the young guys. They don't even understand it to a degree of Tyson, but he's going to change this culture that they have. And look, man, Magic's patience is real thin, and don't put them away from another trade or something happening, and they get right where they need to be in contention, especially in the West. And, dude, the way it's looking right now, it might be sooner than later, just because, dude, you can't fall out this deal in the West, man. And you fall behind too far, you're going to be out that pack. And right now, the whole goal is kind of just, forgive me if I'm wrong, just kind of sit in the pack and get into the playoffs and figure it out. And they're not even in the pack right now, dude.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the standings now, and they are on the outside looking in. Now, it's pretty thick down there, but the Jazz, the Lakers, and the Pelicans are all sitting tied for the 9th spot at 5 and 6. Now, I saw the Kings tonight. The Kings are currently in the 8th spot at 6 and 5. That is a that is a wild team. Man. They play some crazy basketball. The Toronto Raptors were I called it a professional win. They just needed to kind of wade their way through the crazy basketball, not get sucked into it, find a way to execute just enough so that they didn't get affected by the craziness, and they were able to do that. It was good on them. But one of their guys asked me, to kind of give my assessment of the Raptors, seeing them live, and I was like, I can't take anything away from this game. They got through this game, but the level of play wasn't going to really give you a sense of what the Raptors are capable of. That said, I've seen enough of them this year that I do believe that the Raptors are for real. Celtics are still my pick to come out of the East, but the Raptors are going to be no joke. If they stay healthy, no joke, for sure. One of the other teams that is in the mix, the Memphis Grizzlies, are now 6 and 4. They're in the 7th spot. They just beat the Denver Nuggets tonight, and the Denver Nuggets actually are right now the number 2 seed in the Western Conference. But I have to tell you, in spite of being 9 and 2, in spite of being 6 and 0 at home, I am not feeling the Denver Nuggets. Tonight, we're recording this Wednesday night. Tonight, they lost to the Memphis Grizzlies, and Nikola Jokic didn't take a shot until he was taking the last shot, a three-pointer, with the game on the line. Jamal Murray continues to impress. He had 48 the other night against Boston, I believe it was. I'm all kinds of impressed with Jamal Murray, but it's like what we've talked about. If he's their go-to guy, and I'm just not buying that Nikola Jokic is as good as everybody says he is, or as impactful as everybody tries to tell me he is, I'm not feeling the Denver Nuggets. I don't expect that they're going to stay at the top of the Western Conference. Tell me where I'm wrong or join the chorus.
Nah, you know how I feel about Denver. They're a good, solid, okay team. I will give them a pass tonight because it is hard to play back to back. Memphis is for real, and I've been preaching on Memphis radio all summer long that if Mark and Mike are healthy, this is a team that can beat anybody on any given night. And Marc Gasol is looking at Jokic, and we're talking some Euro basketball now. He's going, hey, little brother, this ain't your night because I'm about to give you 20 and 12 and 4. So
that is
this
so
is the
true.
X factor.
Yes.
Look, man, Jokic is getting whatever he wants against these American centers. Show and go, behind the back, no look pass through the legs. Marc Gasol's like, bro, I know all those moves. I taught them to you, as a matter of fact.
This is what drives me crazy about Marc Gasol, and you're dead on. He faces a Nikola Jokic, and he decides, okay, fella, I need to let you know who the best Euro on the floor is tonight. He plays DeAndre Ayton and the Phoenix Suns, and he could give a rat's ass. I mean, they end up losing. The Grizzlies lose to the Phoenix Suns just because Marc Gasol was disinterested. I don't know. He spent the day at the pool. I don't know what it was, but he gave them nothing. And as a result, they messed around, and here comes Devin Booker with the game on the line. He's going to come down. He's going to hit a pull-up. Game over. Grizzlies just blew a game that they had no business losing. And that's what kind of drives me crazy about Marc Gasol and trying to handicap. I remember having this conversation with George Karl back in the day, and he had the same question about Sam Cassell. He goes, I know Sam, out of the 75 games that he plays, he's going to give me about 65 great ones. And there's going to be 10 where Sam decides, I'm not playing tonight. He said, my only problem is I don't know which 10 those are going to be over the course of the year. He said, I wish Sam would tell me. This is how I feel about Marc Gasol right now. There's just some nights where he's not going to give you what he's got, and you don't know what nights those are going to be. But you can probably anticipate the ones that he is going to give you, and being matched up against a guy like Jokic is one of those nights.
I mean, I remember backing up Mark when I was in Memphis, and I mean, I loved it in the sense that if he was rolling, you were watching magic on the floor. But if he didn't feel like playing, it was my time to eat. It was go time, and he wasn't upset about it. But the thing with Mark, man, playing all that basketball, he just got to be careful with his body. Yeah. Maybe that knee's a little sore, that ankle's there. He easily could have a injury that could take him out for the season. We've seen it over and over again. And he's a guy, when I was there, that literally had a broken foot. He played through a broken foot for half the season, and then finally goes, I got to shut it down. Like it's too darn far. He can literally give you 20 and 10 with a broken foot. He's that type of guy, and he's a tough guy. He's tough as nails. So I think it's just kind of knowing his body, and sometimes he'll push, sometimes he doesn't.
That might explain why he and David Fizdale, didn't see eye to eye. Because I would think, from what I know about Fizz and what he appreciates about players, and the way you just described Marc Gasol, those two should have got along. But I get the feeling that what happened is Fizz wanted to push the tempo with Memphis. He wanted to get them playing faster. And to do that, he needed Mark to play a faster style. And Mark may have been really conscious about where his body is and how he needs to play to maintain it through the course of a season. And that might have been the rubbing point. Because I look at it from the outside, I have all the respect in the world for Fizz. Generally, he communicates well with players. And Mark, I've always felt, is actually a tougher guy than Powell is. I think Powell, his brother's much more of a finesse player, right? Yeah. And so it really puzzled me why they got at odds with each other. And they clearly did. I mean, that's why in any other situation, the Grizzlies wouldn't have moved on from Fizz. But it came down to, we got to pick one or the other. And generally, the player is going to win in most of those cases.
Yeah, that was just an unfortunate deal. And you got to think, like you said, Mark is not going to be pushing it out. And then what Mark gets frustrated with is guys who don't know how to play basketball. And Chandler Parsons, he's been out. He's been hurt. We haven't seen him since Dallas. It's been a minute. And, when you're inserting really, really young guys in the lineup, it's frustrating. It's frustrating for a guy like Marc Gasol, and you can have practices, Miami Heat-like practices where you got the knee pads on, you're running the crap out of your guys. And that's not for Marc Gasol, and I don't know the intricacies of what happened, but apparently something went wrong.
All right. That is it for today's episode of Bucher and Hollins, subsidiary of Bucher and Friends, under the umbrella of the United WeCast Network. You can find him, that's Ryan, at the Ryan Hollins on Twitter, or simply at Ryan Hollins on Instagram. You can find me at Bleacher Report and at RICBUCHER on Twitter. You can follow the program on Twitter and Instagram at Bucher Friends. Drop us a rating. We have a contest going on right now. First 50 will be in a drawing for a football autographed by the one, the only Jerry Rice. Get in on that.
Can I quit the podcast so I can be eligible for that?
No. I should be reading the disclaimer on if you're a participant in the podcast, you are not eligible for the prizes. Tomorrow, we will be back, Ryan and I, and we will give you the top picks. This is Wednesday night, and I went 2 for 3. I gave you the Raptors over the Kings. I gave you the Bulls took the points, and they covered, lost by 9, and the spread was 10. I had the Pacers on the money line beating the Sixers, and the Sixers finally, since 2013, got their first win in Indiana. So they defied the odds. Good on them. I still went 2 for 3. Ryan and I are going to do as well or even better tomorrow with our picks. In the meantime, as always, Ryan, it's been a pleasure. Talk to you tomorrow.
My man.